Imagine a man in his 60s, 70s, or even 80s living alone. From the outside, he may look completely independent. He pays his bills, makes his own meals, goes where he wants, and enjoys having his own space. But what happens when the door closes? There are 5 surprising realities about older men living alone that many people never talk about, and one of them could affect your health, your relationships, and even how long you stay independent. The truth about older men living alone, 5 surprising facts every senior must know. Introduction. Living alone can mean many different things. For one older man, it might mean freedom. Freedom to wake up whenever he wants. Freedom to eat what he wants. Freedom to watch television late into the night without anyone telling him to turn it down. Freedom to keep his home exactly the way he likes it. And for some men, that independence is something they genuinely enjoy. But there is another side of living alone that doesn't always show from the outside. A man can be independent and still feel disconnected. He can enjoy his privacy and still need companionship. He can be perfectly capable of taking care of himself while quietly struggling with things he rarely talks about. And that's why today we're looking at 5 surprising facts about older men living alone. These aren't meant to frighten you, they're meant to help you understand what can happen as life changes, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Because growing older doesn't automatically mean becoming weak, lonely, or dependent. In many cases, the opposite can be true. With the right habits, relationships, routines, and mindset, living alone can become a fulfilling chapter of life. So let's begin with the first surprising fact. Fact number 1. Living alone doesn't always mean being lonely. This may sound obvious, but it's one of the most important things to understand. Living alone and being lonely are not the same thing. A man can live by himself and feel completely satisfied with his life, and another man can live with a spouse, family members, or roommates and still feel incredibly lonely. The difference is connection. Loneliness isn't simply about the number of people around you. It's about whether you feel connected, understood, valued, and involved. Think about 2 older men. The first one lives alone in a small house. Every morning he makes coffee, reads the news, takes a walk, calls his daughter, works in his garden, and meets a friend for lunch twice a week. He lives alone, but he isn't necessarily socially isolated. Now imagine another man who lives with family. He eats dinner at the same table as everyone else, but nobody asks about his day. He spends most of his time in another room, he doesn't have close friends anymore, and he feels like nobody really needs him. He may technically not live alone, but emotionally, he can feel very isolated. This is why older men should focus less on the question, "Do I live alone?" and more on the question, "Do I have meaningful connections in my life?" That's a much more important question. Connection doesn't always require a huge social circle. Sometimes it's one good friend, one neighbor you trust, a weekly phone call with a family member, a community group, a religious or volunteer organization, a walking partner. Even a regular conversation at the local coffee shop can become part of a person's social routine. The important thing isn't to be surrounded by people every minute. The goal is to avoid allowing your world to become smaller and smaller without realizing it. And this leads to an important warning sign. When an older man stops doing the things he once enjoyed, stops calling people, stops leaving the house, and begins saying things like, "I don't need anyone," it's worth paying attention. Sometimes that's genuine independence, but sometimes it's a sign that isolation has slowly become a habit, and habits can be changed. The solution doesn't have to be dramatic. Start small. Call someone. Invite a friend for coffee. Take a walk where you know other people will be around. Join a class. Volunteer. Talk to a neighbor. The important thing is to create regular opportunities for human connection, because independence is healthiest when it includes connection, not when it eliminates it. So before you assume that living alone means being lonely, or that independence means needing nobody, let's uncover the 5 truths every older man should know.
Fact number 2. Routine becomes much more important when you live alone. Here's something many people don't realize. When you live with other people, your day often has a natural structure. Someone gets up, someone makes breakfast, someone asks what you're doing today. There may be errands, meals, appointments, conversations, or responsibilities that automatically create a rhythm. When you live alone, much of that structure disappears. At first, this can feel wonderful. You don't have to follow anyone else's schedule. But after months or years, having no structure can sometimes work against you. You might wake up later, skip breakfast, spend hours watching television, put off household chores, stay indoors, go to bed at random times, and slowly your days can begin to blend together. That's why a simple daily routine can be surprisingly powerful. It doesn't need to be complicated. Wake up around the same time, make your bed, open the curtains, get some natural light, eat a proper breakfast, move your body. Take care of one household task, make time for something you enjoy, connect with another person, and have a regular bedtime. These simple actions create anchors throughout the day, and when you have anchors, your day feels more intentional. One useful idea is to have something to look forward to every day. It could be a morning walk, a favorite radio program, a hobby, a book, working in the garden, cooking something new, meeting a friend, playing with grandchildren, learning a new skill. The activity itself doesn't have to be impressive. What matters is that it gives your day purpose, and purpose becomes particularly important after retirement. For decades, many men have defined themselves through work. They had a job, a position, responsibilities, people depending on them. Then retirement arrives. Suddenly, the alarm clock disappears, the workplace disappears, the daily responsibilities disappear, and some men discover that they don't know what to replace them with. This is why retirement shouldn't simply be thought of as the end of work. It can be the beginning of a different kind of purpose. Maybe you mentor someone younger. Maybe you volunteer. Maybe you learn woodworking. Maybe you start exercising. Maybe you finally learn to cook. Maybe you help your community. Maybe you write down your life experiences for your children and grandchildren. The point is simple. Don't let an empty calendar become an empty life. Fact number 3. Small health problems can become bigger problems when nobody is around. This is one of the most practical realities of living alone. When you live with someone else, another person may notice changes that you don't. Maybe you're walking differently. Maybe you've lost weight. Maybe you're unusually tired. Maybe you're forgetting appointments. Maybe you're leaving food untouched. Maybe you're not taking care of the house the way you normally do. A person living alone doesn't always have someone noticing these changes. That's why older men who live alone should become more proactive about their health. Don't wait until something becomes impossible to ignore. Keep regular medical appointments. Know what medications you're taking. Keep important health information organized. Make sure you know how to contact your doctor. And if you notice a significant change in your health, don't simply assume it's just aging. Aging is normal, but not every symptom should be dismissed as aging. Another important issue is the home itself. A home that was perfectly safe at 50 may not be equally safe at 75. Loose rugs, poor lighting, cluttered walkways, slippery bathrooms, stairs without secure handrails. These things may seem insignificant, but a small accident can have major consequences. That's why creating a safer home environment is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of planning. Improve lighting, keep walkways clear, use appropriate safety equipment where necessary, keep frequently used objects within easy reach, and consider having someone check in regularly. It could be a family member, a friend, a trusted neighbor. The purpose isn't to take away independence, it's to protect it. There's also another type of preparation that's important. Have a plan for emergencies. If something happens and you cannot reach your phone, who knows you're in trouble? Who could check on you? Where are your emergency contacts? Does someone you trust know where important documents are? These aren't pleasant things to think about, but responsible planning is one of the best ways to protect your independence. You don't plan for an emergency because you expect one. You plan because you want to be prepared if one happens.
Fact number 4. Many older men are less comfortable asking for help than they realize. This may be one of the most important points in this entire video. Many men were raised with the idea that being strong means handling everything yourself. Fix the problem. Don't complain. Don't depend on anyone. Keep going. That attitude can be valuable. It can build resilience. But there is a difference between independence and refusing help when help is appropriate. Imagine an older man who is struggling to carry something heavy. His neighbor offers to help. He says, "I've got it." Or maybe his computer isn't working. His son offers to help. "No, I'll figure it out." His house needs a repair. A friend says, "Call me if you need anything." He doesn't call. None of these situations seem serious by themselves. But over time, constantly refusing help can create unnecessary stress. And asking for help doesn't make you weak. In fact, sometimes it takes more confidence to admit, "I could use some help with this." Think about professional athletes. Even the strongest athletes have coaches, trainers, doctors, and teammates. Why? Because nobody performs at their best completely alone. The same principle applies to life. You can be independent while still accepting assistance. Maybe someone helps you with technology. Maybe a family member drives you to an appointment. Maybe a neighbor helps move something heavy. Maybe a friend checks in once a week. Maybe you hire someone for a task that has become physically difficult. These aren't failures. They're tools that can help you remain independent for longer. There's another kind of help that deserves attention too: emotional support. Some men are comfortable discussing work, sports, politics, money, or current events. But when it comes to fear, grief, loneliness, uncertainty, or sadness, they may shut down. They might say, "I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. I'm just tired." Sometimes that's true, but sometimes it isn't. And talking about difficult emotions doesn't make a person less masculine. It makes them human. If you've lost friends, if you've lost a spouse, if your children have moved away, if retirement changed your identity, if you're worried about the future, those experiences deserve to be acknowledged. You don't have to tell everyone everything, but having at least one person you can speak honestly with can make a tremendous difference. The goal isn't dependency. The goal is having a support system strong enough that you don't have to face every difficult moment completely alone. Fact number 5. Living alone can actually become a great chapter of life. Now we come to the fact that often gets overlooked. Living alone isn't automatically a tragedy. For many older adults, it can be an opportunity to discover who you are when you're no longer defined by your job, your responsibilities, or other people's expectations. Think about how much of life is spent doing what has to be done. Go to work, pay the bills, raise the children, take care of the house, meet responsibilities, help other people. And then one day, you have more time. That can feel strange, but it can also be incredibly valuable. You can finally ask, what do I actually enjoy? Maybe you love history. Maybe you always wanted to learn guitar. Maybe you enjoy photography. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to spend more time outdoors. Maybe you want to reconnect with old friends. Maybe you want to volunteer. Maybe you want to write. Maybe you simply want a peaceful morning with coffee and a good book. There is nothing wrong with that. The mistake is thinking that a meaningful life has to look exactly the way it did when you were younger. It doesn't. Your priorities can change. Your definition of success can change. Your relationships can change, and your idea of a good day can change. For some older men, peace becomes more valuable than excitement. A quiet walk can feel better than a crowded party. A meaningful conversation can matter more than dozens of acquaintances. A healthy body can become more important than expensive possessions, and time can become more valuable than money. That's not giving up. That's gaining perspective. But there is one condition. Don't allow comfort to become complete withdrawal. It's easy to create a comfortable routine and then never leave it.
same chair, same television, same meals, same room, same conversations, same day. And before you know it, months have passed. Comfort is good, but growth still matters. Try something new, learn something, meet someone, visit somewhere you've never been, change your walking route, try a new recipe, call someone you haven't spoken to in years. You don't need to completely reinvent yourself. You just need to keep participating in life. Biggest lesson: independence should have a safety net. So let's bring these 5 facts together. Fact number 1. Living alone doesn't automatically mean you're lonely. Fact number 2. A daily routine becomes extremely valuable when nobody else creates one for you. Fact number 3. Living alone means you need to be more proactive about health and safety. Fact number 4. Asking for help doesn't destroy independence, it can protect it. And fact number 5. Living alone can become a fulfilling and meaningful chapter of life when you stay connected, active, and purposeful. There's a common misunderstanding about independence. People sometimes imagine independence as, I don't need anybody. But perhaps a healthier definition is, I can take care of myself, and I know who to turn to when I need support. That's a much stronger position, because nobody is completely independent. At some point, every human being needs other people. The strongest people aren't necessarily the ones who never ask for help. They're often the people who know when help is needed and aren't too proud to accept it. A simple weekly plan for older men living alone. If you're an older man living alone right now, I want you to remember something. Your life is not over because your house is quieter. Your value is not reduced because you retired. Your independence doesn't disappear because you occasionally need help. And being alone at home doesn't mean you have to be alone in life. You still have experiences, you still have knowledge, you still have stories, you still have the ability to learn. You can still build friendships, you can still help other people, you can still create new memories. And perhaps most importantly, you can still decide what the next chapter looks like. Don't wait for life to become perfect before you start living it. Call the friend, take the walk, clean the room, learn the skill, visit the family, join the group, ask for help when you need it. And if your world has become smaller than you'd like, start expanding it one small step at a time. Because growing older isn't simply about losing things, it's also about discovering what truly matters. And sometimes, living alone gives you the space to finally discover that. Thank you for watching. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with an older man, a parent, a friend, or anyone who might benefit from hearing this message. And remember, independence isn't about needing nobody. It's about having the strength, wisdom, and support to keep living life on your terms.